We've all been there, right? That flash of genius in the shower, or scribbled on a napkin late at night. A brilliant idea that just feels like it could actually change everything.
But you know, an idea is just a spark. To turn that spark into a real, functioning business, you need to give it a structure, a kind of container that can hold money, manage risk, and make it clear who's in charge. And that right there is often the hardest part. It's exactly what we're going to break down today.
So let's get into it. The best way to think about these different business structures is to see them as blueprints. See, each one is designed for a different kind of project, from a simple shed to a massive skyscraper. And picking the right blueprint from the very beginning, absolutely critical.
Now, to understand any of these blueprints, you really only need to ask two simple questions. First, if things go south, who pays the price? That's all about liability. And second, is the business legally just you, or is it its own separate thing entirely? That's about its legal entity. These two ideas are going to be our guide through all of this.
Okay, let's start with the simplest blueprint of them all. Picture this. You want to start a food cart. It's just you, your savings, and your killer secret recipe. You are a complete one-person show, which, in the business world, we call a sole proprietorship.
The name says it all, right? Sole. It's just one person. A single individual owns, manages, and controls the entire operation. It's pretty much the simplest and oldest form of business there is.
Now, this is the part you really need to get. Legally, the owner is the business. There is zero separation between your personal bank account and your business bank account, and that leads to this huge, kind of scary concept called unlimited liability. It means if your food cart business goes into debt, your personal car, your savings, even your house could be on the line to pay it off.
So you can see the big trade-off right here. On one hand, you've got total control, it's super easy to start, and hey, you keep all the profits. That's a pretty great motivator. But the flip side is, you're totally limited by your own skills and cash, and most importantly, you are personally carrying all of the risk.
So what happens when our food cart owner gets ambitious? Maybe they need more cash for a second cart, or they need a partner who's a wizard at marketing. Well, this is where our next blueprint comes into play, the partnership.
A partnership is basically a sole proprietorship that's built for a team. You've got two or more people agreeing to pool their money, their skills, and their resources, all with the shared goal of running a business and, of course, sharing in the profits.
So now you've got more people, a formal agreement, and shared profits. But notice that one big scary feature is still hanging around: unlimited liability. And get this, in a partnership, it can get even riskier, because now not only are you on the hook for the business's debts, you can also be held responsible for your partner's bad business decisions.
And by the way, this teamwork has a cap. In most places, you can't have more than 50 partners. So while it's definitely a step up in terms of resources, there's a hard limit on how big this model can really get.
So yeah, you get more money, you get more brain power, and the risk is spread out a bit. But those fundamental problems, they're still there. Disagreements can blow the whole thing up. And that massive personal risk to your house and savings, it is still front and center for every single partner.
So up to this point, in the eyes of the law, the business and its owners are basically the same thing. Their personal wealth is totally exposed. But what if you could build a firewall between the two? What if the business could literally become its own person?
This next blueprint, this is how you build an empire. It's how you go from a couple of food carts to a nationwide franchise. It's called The Company, and it's built on two really revolutionary ideas that completely change the world.
Okay, this is concept number one, and it is a huge deal. The law treats a registered company as an artificial person. Think about that. It can own property, it can sign contracts, it can even be sued all under its own name, completely separate from the people who own it, the shareholders.
And here's the second game changer that flows directly from that first one: limited liability. That firewall we talked about, it's now in place. If the company goes into debt, creditors can only go after the company's assets. Your personal savings, your car, your house, they're safe. Your risk is limited only to the money you put into your shares. That's it.
These features are what allow companies to get massive and last for generations. They can raise huge amounts of money by selling shares. They don't just disappear if an owner passes away, and ownership can be bought and sold pretty easily. The catch? Well, it's a much more complex and regulated world to live in.
So, what it comes down to is this. With a company, you're trading the simplicity and secrecy of the earlier models for incredible safety, amazing stability, and a nearly limitless potential for growth.
But wait, What if profit isn't the be-all and end-all? What if a group of food cart owners want to band together not to build some giant empire, but just to buy their ingredients cheaper and help each other out? Well, guess what? There's a blueprint for that too.
This blueprint is built on a totally different philosophy. The cooperative, or co-op for short, is a business that's owned and run by and for its members. Its main goal isn't making a profit for outside investors, it's providing a service to its own community, all based on this cool idea of self-help and mutual help.
And this leads to this really fascinating democratic structure. In a company, one share equals one vote, so money equals power. But here, it's one member, one vote, no matter how much money you've put in. The focus is on service, and any extra profits are often shared based on how much you actually use the co-op, not how much you own of it.
And this really highlights its unique spot in the world. Its greatest strengths are its democratic nature and its social mission, but those can also be its weaknesses. It can be a lot harder to attract top business talent, and when the financial return is pretty low, keeping everybody motivated can be a real challenge.
All right, we've looked at 4 really different blueprints, each one built for a specific purpose. So now let's pull them all together for one final side-by-side look to make the choices crystal clear.
Just focus on those first 2 rows, legal entity and liability. You can see the massive dividing line. With a sole proprietorship or a partnership, you are the business, and your liability is unlimited. Game over. But with a company or a cooperative, the business is a separate legal person, and your personal liability is limited. Now look at the bottom row, main motive. The first 3 are all about profit, while the cooperative is all about service.
So, at the end of the day, none of these is inherently better than the others. A sole proprietorship is perfect for a freelance designer. A company is absolutely necessary for a global car maker. The real goal is to match the blueprint to the ambition.
Seriously, every single business you see, from the little coffee shop on the corner to the biggest corporation on earth, had to make this choice. They all started by picking a blueprint. So I'll just leave you with this question. That $1 million idea of yours, which one of these blueprints does it need to finally become a reality?